All right, welcome everyone. I'll call this special meeting of the Board of Equalization January 23rd, 2017 to order. Notice is properly posted. Third item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the June 30 and 2016, July 19, 2016 DOE meeting. Any discussion or changes to the minutes? Get a motion, please.
Motion to approve the motion. The minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Item 4 is discussion possible action regarding policies and procedures 2017 Board of Equalization session, which will be cranking up here in another couple of months. Who's going to take the lead on this? JD?
Is this our rules of engagement meeting here?
Well, I think this is the kind of, where do you think we're going to go this year? What do you think it's going to be like this year? And anything you need to tell us about process or change of process?
Well, you know,
suggestions which we can
you have
consider?
the historical data in front of you, and you can see it kind of goes up and down as far as the numbers, and you know, we don't always know what's going to happen. We've been pretty consistent as far as the numbers that we sent, the notices that we send out. But you know, you've got Ryan, the group Ryan LLC. They're buying up the mom and pop shops, and they just send out. You know, they have a shotgun approach. They send out to everybody, hey, let us appeal, and let's see what happens. So I think that's kind of been the reason for the increase in the appeals last year. I know it was. So
when you say buying up, tell me what you mean buying.
For years we've dealt with independents here locally that have appealed, and now Ryan is a very big group nationally, and they're buying up these smaller independent representatives and tax consultants, I guess is a better word. And
well, you know, when you said buying up, I think of buying up properties. Well, that's pretty easy. Here's the sales price.
Yeah, no, they're buying out their businesses to represent them, and actually a lot of these guys are going to work for Ryan because they have better benefits and less liability. So it's hard for us to gauge what in terms of appeals. Now, as far as notices, I would, you know, and Steve can jump in, but I think that we're going to probably have the same amount of notices, or pretty close to it.
Well, here's what we did last year as far as the number of NOVs for commercial and residential. Last year we mailed just about 214,000 residential NOVs. We handled 952 at our office, and then there were 83 that were filed down here. And I think that pretty much matches Rebecca's numbers right there from last year. As far as commercials, we mailed 12,022 NOVs. We had 706 that were appealed informally. 426 of those were results of the NOVs, and then 280 where no NOV was mailed. It's just that for commercial property, like JD says, they're going to do the shotgun approach. They're going to file against everything, whether or not we mail out a notice or not. So that's why there's a much higher percentage in the number of commercial appeals, because they're the hired guns. So, and then of those, 146 were filed out here at DOE. I wouldn't anticipate that there would be much of any less, you know, based on what their historical things that filings have been. So I just think we're going to be hit the same way. We would just ask the board, if at all possible, that we can get ahead of the game and hear a few more at the start, so that we don't have a backlog at towards the end of May or whatever. And on that, we have a preliminary mailing schedule that we think we're going to be at. The first round of residential notices we anticipate going out around February the 24th. And I don't have a number amount that will be in those, but it seems like last year they were somewhere around 60,000 in the first few rounds. So first round of residential probably around February 24th. The second round of residential is anticipated to be around March the 17th. Our first commercial round should be out about the very end of February on the 28th. And the second commercial round ought to be out around March 20th. And again, these are preliminary, but they ought to be fairly close. And I would again estimate that we have about 12,000 commercial notices, but maybe a little bit less. And then we'll send a cleanup round and possibly another third residential round right about that same time, right around the 22nd of March. So again, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we're still sitting around 210,000 residential notices. And on that note, I'd like to say this is that the number of sales around the city, around the county, have not really gone down that much at all. Here's a real
Number in volume or number in dollars?
number in volume. This is real quick and dirty. I know it's not going to be that accurate to the total number because I filter out quite a few. But if you follow along, just in the past few years, we're sitting right around 16,000 residential sales that have taken place. This year, it looks like the median was 139,000, which is a slight decrease from the median sale price from the previous year. And the average is down a little bit too. But the main point of this is that we didn't see a very drastic decrease in the number of sales. And so we're going to be sending out a lot of change of assessment notices based on the cap coming off. You know, that's just all there is to it. And nobody, I think we were all kind of surprised about that. So in that regard, there just hasn't been that much of a drastic difference. And I'll follow that up with this, that I do this too, is that I take this from the MLS stats, and again, this is for the whole metropolitan county, or metropolitan area. And again, because this takes into account areas of the city that go into Canadian County, Cleveland, and surrounding areas. The number of sales is still up there quite a bit. The median sale price actually is still up. The number of sales was actually down a little bit, but not drastic. So again, it's not just our numbers that are saying that, it's the MLS for the entire city is bearing this out. So I just think that's interesting that we all know that. As far as commercial sales go, again, in the number of sales that are taking place, the number of sales for commercial properties did come down a bit. And again, you have so many differences in the type of commercial properties that sell, whether it's industrial or apartments or office buildings or whatever. It's real hard to do much of a comparison across the board. But the number of sales is down a little bit. But talking to some of the local brokers, they were all very happy with the way it turned out, that it wasn't a whole lot worse, because there was a lot of fear that it was going to be. You know, they were not being that bad.
They were feared that sales were going down?
Yes, the number of sales, they were thinking that it would be a lot further down.
Have they ever gone down in the last?
Oh, yeah, 2008, 2009, if you look at 2000, I'm sorry, let me just go ahead and pass one of these down to you, sir.
2009.
Yeah, when the Great Recession hit right after 2000. Yeah, you look at, it dropped down 630, down to the 400s and the 500s, and then it started rebounding a bit in 12 and 13, and then really rebounded up in 14 and 15.
Okay.
So, again, it hasn't been the catastrophe that a lot of people told you it was going to be last year.
I was planning on a catastrophe, not here, but in Edmond, because I'm out of livelihood zoning primarily, and I thought it'd be a horrible year. It's the busiest year I've had in 15 years. And big projects.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
They were all big too. So. I was shocked, quite frankly.
And that's
Hope
kind of,
it'll continue on this next year.
Don't y'all think overall though, I mean, money is moving around, things are not bad in Oklahoma at
No.
all.
Well, everybody was preaching the gloom and doom of the oil demise the beginning of 16, and that generally correlates to some real estate
Mhm.
downturn,
Mhm.
but it sure didn't happen in my world, so.
no, it did not. It has, it's been surprisingly good, and a lot of people are very happy that it's stayed as stable as it has. And on that note, you know, I've had several sales where we've had repeat sales the past few years. The area that I've been looking at the past few weeks is the Midtown area right around here, downtown up towards 13th to 23rd Street over to Western. The sales we're having coming through are just amazing. I mean, we're talking about buildings that were, you know, roofs had collapsed and everything selling for $40 a foot. Some of these buildings selling for $90 to $120 a square foot. And it doesn't matter what it was, a lot of them were unoccupied. It's just that they're coming in there and they're gonna repurpose them.
Redoing it.
And,
Yeah, Uptown Plaza District, really.
Yes,
going on.
yes. So, and it's an amazing story right there. I'll do this last deal. This is a slightly updated report from how we presented residential property last year.
Are we changing anything on your
There's a slight change on this.
It's hard for us to accept change, you know. 2 years in a row is really hard for us to accept.
Well, this is pretty much the same layout from last year. And again, this is our multiple regression analysis reporting tool that we have. On the second page where it lists out the sales comparison approach, I think about the only things that were done was, I'm not sure about this part at the top where it gives the actual sale price and the sale price per square foot breakdown. But I know that as you go through the report and go down to the bottom where they total up all the adjustments, they give a sale adjusted value, and then they did add an adjusted sale price per square foot.
I think we asked for that last year, didn't we?
I think you did. I believe you did, sir. And so I think that got put into the program this year. Otherwise, I think it's pretty much the same in that you have a small map and an adjustment grid showing where the subject is. Following page shows the pictures of the comparable sales with the sale price and then how it adjusted out. And then there's another sales, a little bit different sales report, and I couldn't tell you what the difference is between the two of them. I don't deal with these residential ones too much. But I will say this, is that the very last page is something that's been added. It's called an adjustment calculator, and they will provide these to the taxpayers. Of course, we all know that it's very confusing, but the bottom line is that it takes the starting point for the value of the property and then goes through the adjustments and shows how it affects the overall value until it gets all the way down to the very bottom. But again, it's just kind of a summary about how the multiple regression works through the program. And of course, you know, we're going to have people that are going to want to argue about it, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, it's the same thing that we see on a fee appraisal. It just works through the adjustments and breaks them down to an amount that affects the value.
You want us to understand this?
We probably won't give that last part to everybody, but, you know, we will if somebody wants a little bit more information. You know, most people, I think, are going to be satisfied with the rest of the report that shows the sales comps, the map, and the pictures of the comps. But you will have some that are going to want to argue about the multiple regression analysis. But again, let's remember that multiple regression analysis is the statutorily accepted method evaluation, and that we're just following the law.
I thought it was very convincing, personally.
So when they come in for their hearing with you before they appeal to us, do they get this?
If they want one like that, yeah, we can.
Because
Should we ask them, did they get one?
Well,
I mean, we're gonna give them the full report, but a lot of people, like I said, will be satisfied with that part of it, but.
well, they will, but I hate to give people things when they walk in the door here for an appeal, and we show them this.
Well, if we don't give them that part of it, then it won't show up down here.
Okay, because one way or the other, but if we're gonna get it, then I want them to have it.
Absolutely.
What you're gonna get is a copy of anything that they received in the informal, nothing more,
Yeah.
nothing less.
But if you're gonna, and that's the way it ought to be, but
Yep.
if we're gonna get to the point where we get somebody down here and they get argumentative about the analysis, and then we pull this out and say, well, here it is, I don't wanna do that.
You won't have it if they don't have it.
Yes, that's
No way.
that's the way we'll.
Yeah, anything that you have in front of you is a direct copy of anything that they received or was discussed in the informal.
I think what the chairman's saying is that if overall, we're using this analysis,
Yes.
when we're looking at individual properties, if the taxpayer has not seen this,
Well,
and that's figuring into our,
this is,
Yeah, but we provided all that information last year to the taxpayer.
okay.
Yes, sir. I mean, everything that you saw last year,
no, I know they got it last year. This is something new that we may or may not see in our packet, depending on, I guess, how y'all analyze.
well, and,
Upstairs.
yeah, and whether or not they want, actually.
So,
Again, that's a new report, maybe we'll just see how it goes, but if it's presented to the taxpayer, it'll come down here, if it's not, it won't.
but it's actually, without this form, it's already figured in on this form.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that's always been the case.
Yes, sir. That's just a different way of presenting the calculation.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
Nothing else?
Anything else?
No, sir, not for me. You may, or,
Well, can't just let a few things go like this. We always have to say something else, No, the only other thing I would say is that the first Monday, as you've kind of figured out by now, we get a little bit backlogged toward the end because of the commercial and because of that first Monday in May issue. First Monday in May happens to fall on May 1st, which is very convenient this year for us. It gives us that few extra days as opposed to falling, on the 7th or whatever it is. But, so that helps out. But the only thing that I guess we could request is as they get scheduled, if you get up to I don't know how many the board wants to hear, but when it gets to that point of if it's 5, 7, 3, whatever it is, go ahead and make an agenda. That may help us out a little bit to kind of stay ahead of the numbers. Obviously the board can do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, last year they came to me and asked me to add more to our agendas in, I guess, the end of May, 1st of June. I can't remember what the date was. And I guess we can go into July. We have to get approval to extend to
Sure.
July, but the law says we can.
Sure.
And for the last 2 years, we've gone a little bit into July, haven't we? All I'm concerned about is getting done within the time that the statute says we have to be done. And I'll be frank with you, I was a little bit irritated last year when the assessor's office did what they did to us and acted like we were slacking off on, not you guys, but
Sure.
others. And I went and told the county commissioners and the budget board, guys, the three of us have day jobs.
Sure.
We work, in the private sector, so we don't have, the stack that y'all provide us that we take home every night, and I think three of us pretty diligent in studying those.
Absolutely.
And then we leave the meeting the day of, and generally go back to our office and go rehash what we've heard. So, I don't know that we're gonna do any more per day unless you guys tell me otherwise than what we did last year.
Right.
Unless we get to what I consider crunch time, and we have a whole lot more than we did last year.
Right.
And then we obviously have to. So I guess that would be the marching orders for the day, is we're probably gonna do what we did last year unless we get overwhelmed at end of May, 1st of June with a bunch that we don't anticipate. So I guess proceed under that.
And just so you all know, if anything, if we can be of any help in my office to help you guys, because I know what it's like being in the private sector, and so I will help you all we can, giving you anything you need ahead of time, or of course, in the realms of open meetings and stuff, but to give you anything you need and get you, if you need help in here or anything you need, we will help you. We'll do
Appreciate it.
everything we
No,
need to
we-
make it
I mean,
expeditious.
They keep us straight, thank God, Rebecca and Sharon keep us straight.
That is so true.
And headed in the right direction, or we'd be screwed up for a while.
Yeah, it's just time constraints, you know, when you're going
Sure.
through material, when we have too many set, it becomes, it gets a little sloppy in my, opinion. We're not being able to, be as precise as I'd like to be.
Well,
Or at least I'm not, my speaking just for
Totally
myself.
understand.
and that's what we're saying, is that it's just a common occurrence every year about that, the last part of April, the first of May, we're gonna get hit with those commercial, appeals that we have to deal with, you know, and it just always seems to back on us.
Well, and again, last year, we had a couple of times, you know, like 17 or 20 that were almost identical.
Right.
Yeah.
Ditto appeals for the
Correct.
same client.
Yeah.
And we can set those
Mhm.
more, like we did those last year. But I wouldn't want to do 17 separate owners.
No, I
tax
totally
reps.
understand that.
I mean, we just kind of play it by ear, and I thought it worked okay last year. I don't know what everybody else thought, but I thought.
Yeah, I do.
Thought it went okay.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have Bill Isaac come in on too many of them.
Oh, yeah.
Please, I'm begging.
Yeah, please work out, Phil.
On that note, just so the board knows, we do everything we can to work with the taxpayers on every topic.
Well, you can see from the numbers, they all work out.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them.
We do try.
And they don't get here, so, but there's some, they're just gonna come.
Right. So,
And,
we do appreciate you guys, and we are working with us, and the relationship that we have, our
Oh,
office
yeah,
has.
we all do a
with
great
us, so,
job, and we're pleased
anyway.
when you present great material to us.
That said, I think I'm
We're
done.
pleased with it.
And looking
All right.
forward to, Mike and Sheila coming down here.
We don't tolerate rude people. So, I don't know how you got at the table, but you did.
I think of winning an election, the only thing that did.
That's a good thing. All right, anything else from staff? Rebecca, Sharon, anything else we need to know?
Just the evidence, make sure we get it to your office before we give it to them beforehand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anything you get that they don't get, make sure that they've got it before we get it, please. And we are going to school in February, what
The
day?
16th.
16th? That's in this material, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me get to my electronic device.
Oh, we might want to look into that.
Batteries are dead. Maybe I'm out of ink. Anything else? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Come right up.
Of course, most of you know I'm Joan Porter. I am the director of Clerks of the Board now, so that you all have that information.
Director of what?
Clerks of the Board that
Okay.
Kathy has held that position, Kathy Hill.
Okay.
Just so that you will know, and feel free to call me if it's anything that I can do for you. We all work
Your
very
number the same?
closely.
Your number's the same?
Yes, it is. Mhm. And I'd like to introduce Rick Buchanan. Rick is the chief deputy of our department now. Of course, he's always to help you with whatever you may need. So, just wanted to make that notation for you.
Thanks, man, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rick? You want to tell us anything? Anybody else? Nobody else got anything?
What about communication software wise? We
What?
be working on any of that.
What are you using to schedule?
Scheduleware from last year, that's what I heard from your office.
You're still gonna use it?
Same.
That's what Walter.
You think this thing will work this year?
No. Any
It
more
works
questions?
for us and others.
It works sometimes and sometimes it didn't, just depending on the
We
day.
we remote into our office and it's fun every day.
Are you still
It's fun,
using
but-
Realware?
No, Walter.
Yeah, we're still on Realware, okay.
He says,
Not-
And we'll be
all right.
on that as well.
Okay, yeah, we're still on real.
no,
All right, was there anything else anybody needs to
Usually us.
say about the upcoming session? I think we're ready to get going soon.
How many per day starting?
Start out with 3 like we did, and let's, see how it progresses from there. And kinda, you guys in the assessor's office kinda keep us, you and Rebecca keeps us informed, but when y'all kinda see them coming in, before they appeal, if you think they're going to, and it looks like we're gonna get bogged down, let us know.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we will, but we should be okay. All right, any other discussion from anybody? Any new business? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.